is in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Meado.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Another episode of the Vic Akers Wonderland Podcast. I'm back, Adam Salter, back in the pod. I was sadly absent for our last episode, but I'm back. I'm back in the hosting chair, but sadly, because I am back, we have also at the same time lost one of our members. The lovely Lottie is down at Emirates Stadium to cheer on the Arsenal. They are due to play Fulham tonight at time of recording, so wish them all the best, and hopefully Saka is back in the team and back playing in that game. However, to join me to talk about another Arsenal game, Arsenal women against Crystal Palace, is of course the magnificent Matt in the hat. Matt, how are you?
I've gotten some good news today, so I'm feeling really good, and it was a very, very good weekend as well for the Arsenal.
It's been a good run ever since I say our FA Cup exit, sadly, and maybe the Real Madrid game you could throw in. Our fortunes turned upwards, shall we say. We've had whether the big win against Liverpool at Emirates, the Real Madrid win, which I think we all enjoyed rather much. And now this, Crystal Palace 4-0. We're at Palace, so we'll dig that into a bit. A few minor bits of news to cover. The main one being, of course, is the Leicester City game. It has been rescheduled, which was understandable because obviously it was due to be played when we were going to play Lyon. We are going to play Lyon at Emirates Stadium, so the Leicester City game has had to move to midweek. But in an intriguing twist of fate, it is not to be played at Meadow Park as previously planned. It is to be played at Emirates Stadium. So I thought when I was going to the Real Madrid game, I think it must be last week now, I think it was, that was going to be our last midweek night game under the lights, Emirates Stadium, etc. That was no more. But we've got a bonus game. Curiously, Leicester City last season was another bonus one at Emirates Stadium. That was a late change. They made it, they moved the game to there, and they've done it again. Matt, are you excited for this change of location? And maybe what it could mean, maybe we'll get to maybe the future of the game, but what are your thoughts on another game under the lights?
It'll be good, and I think it's a chance that for more fans who experience that night in against Real Madrid, shall I say, to experience something else again. I remember that first season under Jonas, the North London derby was moved. It was at this time it was completely different reasoning because of Tottenham players had COVID and that had to be rescheduled. So last Wednesday, City, I think Manchester City were playing as well at the same time against someone. It might have been Reading or
might have been, yeah.
No, it was Birmingham City because that was the season Birmingham City were going. Birmingham City needed something to stay up.
Yes.
And that was a really good night. Not just because it was derby, but just I know it was a bit low on the attendance because it was midweek, but it was a really good game. And even what happened with Tottenham getting the penalty and them hitting the post, it was just
missing the penalty.
It made it even more special, and I think there's no reason why there's the romanticizing of a night under the lights, because it is really special, especially if there's going to be a moment of magic like you have. Even that night, I think Beth Mead scored the opener goal from a Vic Mead through ball. So it's things like that you just go, oh, I remember that game. And it was a really nice night. It was under the lights, and it was all to play for. And it's just it feels really weird to say that, but it does feel like very much like it's romanticized for the right reasons, because everyone does have a fond memory of a night under the lights for any team.
moving forward, I was to say tickets I think are on or will be on sale. Either are on sale or will be on sale in the coming days. Do keep an eye on the Arsenal website and do try and stock up some tickets. Obviously, we've got, I think it was 21,000 in for the Real Madrid game. I'm not expecting that kind of levels, but I think somewhere between 10 and 20,000 would be a pretty decent attendance given the short turnaround and it being a big night fixture. But going into the long term, so this season Arsenal will have played 2 games at Meadow Park, WSL games, should say, at Meadow Park, and should just say this with this move, this means now that there are no more Meadow Park games this season. That's it. Meadow Park is closed for the rest of the season. See you in summer 2025. Or autumn, whatever. So
just on this, Adam, I've just seen that it's been selected for by Sky Sports as well. That game against Leicester.
Okay, good. Okay, so it'll be on the Sky, and it'll be on the Sky TV, which is always nice. I remember, I think our Leicester game last season at home, whilst we were at Emirates Stadium, I think was stuck on what was the FA player. But Joe, going back to the point, going into next season and beyond. So this season, obviously, we have 2 WSL games at Meadow Park, and the rest now have been at Emirates Stadium. Do you think the time has come to go all in on Emirates Stadium for WSL games?
I think that we have seen this season the pros and the cons of it. And the con is that if the men do, for whatever reason, and let's say 4 reasons, let's say they get to a quarter-final of the FA Cup and it's a home game against a Fulham or a Crystal Palace, for example, that's going to take the edge more than, say, a WSL game that's going to be on that's been chosen by Sky Sports for the Saturday night game.
You end up with the Bayern Munich conundrum where you end up in Palace.
So I'd like to say yes, but I think they will hold off, and the only reason they're going to hold off is because of the conundrum that they exposed themselves to.
Do you think it will happen at some point?
Yes, if it is going to happen next season, then I'm happy for them, but they need to make sure that they go all in. But it doesn't mean that Meadow Park's not used. It might be that Meadow Park might be the alternative, which probably actually helps out Boreham Woods as well, because it means less people playing on their pitches, so you're not having the conundrum of that awful pitch state that you saw against Liverpool in that Sunday.
Yes, well, that was part of my thinking of why they've made the decision. I remember in the past people talk about competitive advantages, and people are like, well, it's nice having 1 or 2 games at Emirates Stadium, but the players are used to Meadow Park. But it kind of feels like we've done an Uno reverse here, and the players play better at Emirates Stadium because of the quality it has, and whereas Boreham Wood was a bit of a mess towards the end. I do think I would not be surprised, but that way, if they decided to go all in and say, and I think it would be a really ambitious statement. And the fact that they have just decided to put this game at Emirates, they didn't have to. They could have kept it at Meadow Park. I mean, as far as I know, I could be wrong, there aren't any Boreham Wood games or academy games scheduled for that sort of time slot, which is 15th of April, 7:30 kickoff. As far as I know, they have just chosen to stick the game at Emirates Stadium, and I think that's a really positive step. I would like to see all WSL games played at Emirates Stadium, along with the Champions League group stage onwards games. I think it's an inevitability. I just think we're outgrowing Meadow Park, and I think we've sort of seen that this season with something. Well, just not just the attendances, but the fact that the pitch is starting to show its wear. We've had a lot of games there. I think the Champions League qualifiers, the FA Cup games, there's a League Cup game on there as well. Plus, you have obviously all the academy games on there from the men's side, and of course you have all the Boreham Wood games, and it just feels like we need that new space, and I think Emirates Stadium is going to be that. But as you mentioned, about the quandary becomes is when you have to align it with the men's schedules. And I think this game against Leicester City is going to be interesting because, again, it's midweek, and I think that might be one of the ways those fixtures maybe get managed. Maybe we do some more games in midweek, or maybe we use Meadow Park as a safety net for said fixtures.
What also helps is it's going to be half term as well, so a lot of fans can take their families and they don't have to worry about school the next day. But some people will have to worry about work the next day.
Yes, some of us will. To be honest, I hadn't thought of that because I've no idea when half terms is. Obviously, you do know, Matt.
Yes.
But for me, Half term is a holiday from another era for me. Was it half term, Christmas and summer, Easter summer holidays? They were the best.
Yeah, it's essentially because we've got Easter coming around the corner.
Yeah,
you get 2 weeks off in the UK, so it's next week and the week after, and then the kids will go back on the Tuesday after Easter Monday.
Well, hopefully we can get a decent crowd. Obviously, we've got just Leicester City and Manchester United on the WSL side at Emirates Stadium. So exciting stuff then. Speaking of Emirates Stadium, tickets are on sale for the Lyon game. They are home tie. We are first up at home. 21,000 tickets sold already, which is an incredible effort. It is less than a week since the Real Madrid game, and we've already more or less matched the ticket sales for that game. So to get that amount of turnaround in a short space of time was very, very impressive. We'd love another 60,000 like we did at Wolfsburg. Such a memorable moment that was. Do you think we can hit it, Matt? I don't think we will, but do you think we could?
I think we will. I think, again, going back into the Easter sort of mould, the wind down of the Easter holidays, and I think it's a good opportunity because, again, it's going to be a weekend, so there's going to be a lot to do, and it's an opportunity to do something on the cheap. I think I was working it out with Lottie actually. A price of the tickets were £16-17, and for children it was only £8, so it worked out it was cheaper for one adult and one child than it would be to go to a men's game, even though considering transport and everything else to go with it. So it's an opportunity to, even if you're just not too sure what to do, it's going to draw in the crowd. There's going to be a huge market for it, I can imagine. I don't know if they'll do the ABC game or.
I posted that over the week. I missed the ABC game. Was superb. For those who don't remember, it was Victoria Pelova, Kayla McKees, and
Laura Ryan-Roth.
Marvin Reiter and Krimola Cool, having to try and advertise the Wolfsburg game using every single letter of the alphabet. So it was an absolute carnage, but comedy gold. Hopefully they'll bring in some tricks for that. What I would say that on the flip side, though, is obviously that time around Arsenal were really aggressively pushing advertising because I think they realised this could be the moment, and it was the moment from an attendance perspective. Not trying to bring attendance discourse back in, but from what we achieved on that front, I do wonder if maybe this time around they might ease off a bit and just see what's the natural. Not the natural level, rather than the level we've inflated by over really pushing on the advertising. So we'll see what happens there. I should say, tickets are on sale. 19th of April is the game. 12:30 kickoff. So a nice early start to your Saturday. So see how that works out on the attendance front. The away leg, Leon, I don't think the away tickets are on sale yet. So, but we'll keep an eye out for that. That's the 27th of April, which means, of course, our away trip to Aston Villa, which originally was meant to be played at Villa Park, shall we say. We're still waiting for that to be rescheduled, and when we know, we'll obviously let you know as well. Moving on, moving on to something else. So one of the things that came from the press conference before the game was Lena Hurtig being unavailable. She's injured again. Every season, the last 2 seasons, she's come in and be like, right, she's going to be like a new signing. She's going to add that dimension that we missed the previous season, and she plays 5 games and then she's injured again. And I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see her play again this season just because of the injuries. Matt, any thoughts on Lena? Is she the most unluckiest player we've ever signed? Just hasn't been fair on her and on everybody else.
I think if you were to include the men's signings, I think she's in the top 5. And I think that the top one is actually won the FA Cup with Arsenal, and that was Kim Källström. Came in with a broken back. For those that don't know,
there's a name from the past. Yeah, we hardly saw him play.
Scored a penalty against Wigan, and that was it. That was all he ever did for Arsenal. But it's just one of those, isn't it? There's either players come into a new league and they do really well, or it's setback after setback after setback. I believe her contract's up at the end of the season, so I think she'll most likely end up going back to Sweden.
Maybe, or I think she was Juventus we signed her from, but I'm sure there is a talent there. She's got some crucial goals for us already this season. The Juve goal at Emirates Stadium springs to mind. So yeah, we don't know. Maybe she'll get the Man United game at the end of the season. She might have a small part to play at some point to tip a game in our favour, but it is another setback, and it's absolutely devastating. The players for me that come to mind are Tabby Kem from Potsdam, who just could never play a game, and just because of injuries, and Marlon Gooch, of course.
I knew you were going to say that.
Marlon Gooch, yeah,
the ACL, didn't it? She ended up retiring quite early. That's a bit of a shame.
Both of them did, sadly. Both of them stepped out of the game way too early before their prime. Very sad to see. So obviously wish Lena Hurtig a full recovery again. And we do. I wish it's one of those players I wish we could have seen more of, because she came in as an attacking winger, and it has left us a winger short for pretty much the last 3 seasons. Just no fault of her own, just a matter of circumstances meant that we've been robbed of her. But we wish her all the best. A fun one I thought I'll touch on time day of recording, evening recording. It is the 1st of April, which of course is April Fools. Now we are past midday, so there'll be no April Fools on this podcast from us. We are fools enough as it is. But I just wanted to see you, Matt. Obviously, we keep an eye on social media. Was there any funny April Fool stories that caught your eye and gave you a bit of a chuckle? There were a few floating around.
Yeah.
Did any of them fool you?
No, but I think some of them were quite well done. The Marvel one, basically, where they just turned around and said that there was going to be more. So those that don't know, so they've just done this giant chair thing with different celebrities who are supposed to be revitalizing their roles. So there's different ones, and which was quite funny to read. I think they had John Cena as one of them, which was quite funny with everything that goes on. But yeah, it was quite I think the best one though was actually, I got a little bit of a prank earlier today from one of the kids who decided to use his jumper and rub it underneath a little piece of metal under the step, not steps, where they sit, a chair, one of those chairs, and he kept on getting electric shock, static shock.
Very good, very clever.
So,
no, fair enough. There was a few. One of my favourites is transfers. There are a few bogus transfer rumours that went around, which again, I got up really. I was early in the morning swiping through, and I saw one of them. And I think it was Soccer Donna were putting a few out there, and I was like, "Wow, really?" And I shared it with my friends, and they said, "Adam, it's April Fool's Day." And I was like, yeah, of course. Yeah. I knew that totally. Some of my favourites are some good Chelsea ones. There was one to suggest that Lauren James would be leaving at the end of the season, which had people do a bit of a double take. There was another good one where they said that they were going to change their the music they play when the players come on the pitch, which I think is like the mix nature or something, or mix. Anyway, there's a very famous one they play every time the players come out. They said we're going to replace it with Southwest Londonish Forever. Just as I thought, very, very good, very, very witty. So love the April Fools, and there's a few out there that did give me a bit of a smile. So fair enough. But we will move on. We will move on to Palace 0, Arsenal 4. I don't think really many shocks in the team sheet. Obviously, Jenna Nice-Wonga comes in because Katie McCabe got herself suspended for 5 yellows. And to be honest, of all the games to be suspended for, I think this is probably the ideal one. And obviously gives her a clean slate for the rest of the season. Some interesting pairings. Leah Velti starting in the midfield alongside Mariona Caldente, and a three across of Kelly, Frida, and Mead behind Alessia Russo. Anything there, Matt, that caught your eye?
I think some of those changes were needed, to be honest, after the emotional roller coaster of that second half. I know we didn't get to hear what you said, with your thoughts on it, Adam, but I think it was much needed that a lot of the players just needed to be rotated or have a little bit of a look. Going into an international break, sort of wind it down a little bit and relax a little bit, and it's needed.
Did you, were you, on the topic of rotation, were you not surprised that maybe Stina wasn't given a chance up front? And I know Russo's running hot form-wise. You want to keep that form going, but given that some of the workload she's played, and she ended up playing the 90 minutes. Again, would you not? Do you think this maybe could have been a game that we could have maybe used Dina and still got the win? Or
I think we were going to win this one, and that wasn't the case of, and it was just the way that Palace are going into this. They have been a fantastic team to come into the WSL. Not a lot of the teams that you see that come up, they really go for it from minute one. It's just one of those things where when you overpower a team because of how good your quality is from the bench to that, and this is becoming a big pattern with under Rene, where this is now, but including away games, you're probably looking at maybe 7 or 8 times under Rene that they've scored 4 or more, home or away.
Yes, there was the statistic was the home games, consecutive home games. We've done 3 or 4 plus goals, I think it was, and then obviously this is coming as well. Was an away game, but it's quite strange that we've gone from under Jonas where we couldn't buy a goal at times, especially against these teams who would set up quite competent defensively. We just didn't have the knowledge, and now we're just free scoring, and it's just like, where was this Arsenal hiding? And my mind goes back to that the 1-0 way when we were both out of Leicester City, where we just didn't have anything, and this is a glorious contrast. It's interesting to say, but individual quality. I mean, you saying about like you thought this was going to be basically a formality. I will always have Birmingham City away in the back of my mind. It's like, don't treat away games against the bottom side as a formality.
It's not that. It was. I think when you read back on what happened between Birmingham, we came back. The team actually came back late from training, to training, whereas Birmingham City had started basically Christmas. Not Christmas Day, Boxing Day. They were training, so they essentially had 2 weeks to settle themselves down, get ready to play the game. They knew that they needed to hit the ground running come New Year's, and if it just that day being in the stands, that'll probably go down as my worst game.
I don't want to linger on it too much, but I don't want to. But the great point I get to was that. So, if you assume you're going to win, then that's usually when things. I thought we'd win against Liverpool.
I wasn't trying to suggest that we were going to win. It's more about that. I don't think Palace are going to have that quality. They do have quality in the team. It's just I don't think that we felt very. I think that team felt very confident that they were going to come away with 3 points.
Yeah. And I should say, with that, just to refer back to that Birmingham City game, we had a bit of a crisis in the midfield and in the defence in some of the injuries, and obviously Velty missed out in that game, and that got retold. Velty was available for this one, thankfully, and did start, like I said, alongside Mariana Caldante. Now, for me, obviously you were watching on at home. I was watching on. I was away with work. I was on night, so just sort of woken up and just wanted a very calm, relaxed, stress-free. It doesn't happen often with Arsenal. Even when we're winning 3 or 4-0, I'm always a bit, we never know. But this was glorious. There was nothing to sort of raise the blood pressure or get annoyed about or get anxiety about or get anxious about. It was just pure, serene, just simple, routine win. And it started in the 14th minute with Chloe Kelly bombing down the left, cross to the edge of the box, and Beth Mead, 50 WSL goals. This was the 50th goal on her left foot, weaker foot, left foot, buries it. Matt, thoughts?
That's the Beth Mead we know. And I remember talking back a couple of weeks ago about how she usually averages about 5 goals in the WSL. That's sort of her baseline. She hasn't gone above that. The only time she goes above that is for 1 or 2 seasons. But he's now on 7 WSL goals, if I'm correct.
Could be. I haven't got the numbers in front of me, but she's not had the most productive of seasons. I mean, obviously she had that monster season in 2022, but
this will be her best season past that one. This will be her second best season since coming to Arsenal. So. Sometimes it's just one of those things. They need a goal to sort of show how well they've been playing, even if you don't recognise it. And with contracts coming up, I think that's going to be a big one to talk about come the summer.
Yes, Arsenal got a decision to make there on Beth Mead, whether they stick or twist, if they give her the extra years, or whether they look to freshen up their wing options. Obviously, Kelly is coming on loan. We'll get to her in a bit because I thought she had a stonking game. But there was a second goal, not too long to wait, just the 12 minutes, I think it was, on the further down, so 26 minutes. And this is, again, it's a bit of the old Jonas coming through here. The high press, the turnover, Palace a bit sloppy at the back, a great interception. Mariona pass it to Russo, and it's 2-0. Were you confident with that? Because I know sometimes with front of goal we can think with Russo, we might overthink it, but I was pretty confident the moment she got in a position that she was going to bury this.
I think as soon as the team got the first goal, that was it. It was going to start flowing, and it was very much a free flowing football, and Palace just couldn't contain it.
No. Yeah, so that's another goal for Russo. She's now one behind Bunny Shaw in the Golden Boot race. Shaw did not score in their 2-1 win away at Brighton. So we were closing in on Shaw.
Viv did.
Viv did. Yeah, congrats to Viv. Do you think Russo can get the Golden Boot? Do you think she can catch Shaw and be the top scorer of the season?
It's definitely up for grabs. I don't think in December we will really consider we would be sitting here talking about it, but it's going to be close.
I think the Shaw injuries played into Russo's hands on that front, because Shaw was doing very well for them, and then obviously, as you did, got injured, and that's just opened the door. And I think Russo, just one goal behind. I was hoping she would get a few more against Palace, because I thought they were there to be scored against, and there were some other chances. But do you think she could? Because she just finished top scorer. I mean, there's another discourse I don't really want to go into, but what do you think that says about Arsenal having a striking? Russo is the number 9, I guess, not the number 10. Where do you see that going?
Well, it just again reiterates the point that you shouldn't be putting Alessia Russo in the 10.
Yeah,
you need to have her in the box. She is the ultimate fox in the box, and whether it's a cross, whether it's a low shot, a low effort, low cross, whatever it is, she's going to be there to tap it in. And we kind of the team needs that sort of striker. It's just frustrating when you see Alessia playing in the 10, because you're like, you need her in that box, because when, say, Stina's up front, if she's missing, say she completely mishits it like she did against who was it? Was she missed Brighton? She mishit the ball, and then she hit it the second time.
The spin the shot. Yeah.
Things like that, you'd imagine Alessia would be on the back of, and she could run onto and score if she was playing as like.
It's positional discipline. It's staying in that penalty area, being on the end of the crosses, not she does loads of great stuff with coming to the ball and stuff around there, but it's all about you staying in the penalty area, and we will feed you the ball and you will score the goals for us. I think this has been a really good season for Russo. I was a bit hesitant at the start of the season when she wasn't getting the goals, and there were a few moments, but since Rene's come in, she's really kicked into gear, and this is the striker I was hoping we were going to get last season. I said last season I think Russo underperformed for a lot of it. I think this season she is performing. I think she can get that Golden Boot, and I think that will firstly do her a lot of confidence, because it's great to get those individual awards at the end of the season, but I think it also sort of sends a message that Arsenal now have that world-class striker, because last summer we parted ways with probably, so far is the current record goal scorer in the WSL. A lot of people aren't happy with that, and totally get that. I have my own views on the matter, but to pass that baton on to the next player, to say, right, you are going to be our lead striker. We've said goodbye to Viv. Russo, you are going to be one that has to supply the goals for us, and that's a lot of pressure. And she stepped up to the mantle, and she claims the Golden Boot. You can say, right, that is a striker we will build on for next season, and hopefully carry this form into next season. Because if we can get her up to 20, 25 goals, 30 goals, even high, ridiculously high numbers, that will go a long way to hopefully pushing us towards the WSL title. That was it for the end of the first half. No more goals. I think Palace had a few moments, a few wobbles, but but we were relatively untroubled. And then the second half just sort of really bit of a non-event, really. Nothing really happened. There's a few substitutions, the likes of Palova Kim Little came on, which was obviously great. Giving Palova more hours, more minutes. Well, minutes become hours, become days. Giving Palova more time on the pitch. I mean, Matt Palova back. I mean, the season's running out for her, but do you think we might see? What do you reckon she can give us for the rest of the season?
Well, I think what's going to have to happen is that she's going to have to be in talks with the Netherlands coaching staff and figure out how they're going to do her minutes as well. Because I know for definite that we all know for definite that she wants to be in that squad in Switzerland for the Netherlands and potentially facing England in that in that squad as well as the France as well, and Wales. Let's not forget about those in that group D. But it's going to be, it might have to be small steps, but there's still magic. I think we're still yet to see the Palova magic, bit similar to when she scored that goal in the game against the under 21s United team. That's what we're sort of missing at the moment. But I think there's going to be a time when Palova comes on the pitch and she just does something magical, and you go, yeah, Vic's back.
Yeah, Vic's back. Hopefully it comes up soon. Just say we are going to international breaks. There is no WSL. I think there's no WSL. Is it 3 weekends now? Because we've got the FA Cup games as well coming up.
Yeah, the FA Cup is on the 12th, I believe.
Yes.
If I get my calendar right.
Yeah. Our return game
13th.
is So our return game is that Leicester City game midweek at Emirates Stadium. So unfortunately, got a bit of a time to wait, but it should hopefully be worth the wait. But there was another goal, thankfully, and it was Chloe Kelly again providing the ammunition from the wing, and this time it's another own goal. Alison
Swaby.
Alison Swaby, the Palace captain, sticks out a foot, pokes into her own net. Totally unfortunate. But firstly, great to know. I mean, own goals are always a bit of a laugh, and we'll take them because they are a gift, however they come. But Chloe Kelly on the wing she's really cemented herself as a really potent weapon that obviously we've been missing for the first half of the season, certainly with the direct running, but the deliveries from the wing. I mean, what a run of form she's been on, and now she's back in the England squad. Obviously after temporarily being dropped by Serena, but what an impact she's been on loans for us.
Yes, and I think a lot of heads are going to be turning now about whether or not Chloe Kelly is going to be one of the additions in the summer. But that's a talk for later down the line. She has provided this team with a spark, and she's been mentioning this as well, is that she's really enjoying her football. She's smiling again, and that's the most important thing. You look at some of the transfers in the men's game where the likes of Marcus Rashford, who's been in a similar situation to Chloe Kelly, basically not playing at all, gone away to a different club, and now back in the England squad again. So it's important that they take these steps and make the most of these chances, because there would have been a huge opportunity where she could have been in that window and sitting and just waiting for the phone to finally call to find out where she's going to be.
Do you think? I mean, we're going to ask this question many times, and especially when we go at the end of the season, we're going to summer. But do you think Arsenal will be looking, or should they rather? Better question: should Arsenal try and look to keep Kelly beyond this season?
I think she's made up her mind, and I think what's probably helped is the fact that she's saying all the right things in those interviews, but then again, saying things can also be your undoing, because I don't know how many times we've I'd say probably people have been caught out by so and so said so.
They say they love the badge, love the club, and then the next week they're on to somewhere else. And it's great PR to say yes, I'm loving it. I'm back at my roots. I've got the smile on my face. I'm loving my football. But obviously, it's shown on the pitch as well.
That's what she's only said. She's loving the football, so that's the important thing at the moment. She's loving the football. She's not worried about the contract situation. At the moment, we don't know what's going to happen with City as well, because we don't know whether or not what's going to happen with their new manager. So that might be it. But I did say that she's burnt bridges, so maybe, just maybe, she is looking elsewhere, and I'm not surprised.
Well, all I can say is that she's won the hearts and minds of the fans. The fans love her, which is always a good sign, especially to have won them over that quickly. Yeah, great wing play. Yeah, got the assist. I mean, sadly, own goal assists don't count according to the BBC website, but I think they do count for fantasy football. But she's making a difference, and she's playing with such positivity. If Arsenal aren't at least making the effort to, or at least pose the question, if they pose the question and Kelly says, thanks, but I want to go somewhere else, that's fine. But I feel they should at least entertain the notion. I do think there is a place in this team next season for Kelly, and I think she would do well if she sustains this form, because there's a difference between when you're playing for a contract and then playing after the contract. And we see many players who, having got the deal they wanted, suddenly the level drops off. But if we get this Chloe Kelly and we keep her, and this Chloe Kelly plays like this for the next season, then we've got a real talent on our hands. I think that's very, very exciting. But on topic of wingers, there was another English winger playing in that team, and that was Beth Mead, and she wasn't finished with the scoring just yet, because just as we ticked into injury time, she picked the ball up on the right wing and rolled back the years with an old Beth Mead classic, the Crot, over the keeper inside the far post. It's 4-0 to the Arsenal, her 51st WSL goal. Two things. Firstly, on the goal scoring of Beth Mead, over 50 goals for the WSL. Some of Arsenal, some with Sunderland. Obviously, where she burst onto the scene, was actually, I think, the top scorer. I want to say, I think it was 2015. I think she was the top scorer in the WSL, which is pretty impressive considering where Sunderland were in the league at the time. Thoughts on Beth Mead, 50 goals? I mean, it's quite the achievement.
It really is, and it just shows you, okay, we can probably say that the ACL injury has probably stalled a lot of the time that she would have had, especially in the form that she was in at that time. She was basically unplayable. She was basically a I don't even know how many votes she was off the Ballon d'Or in the end.
Yeah, there was some debate over that, but she came second in the Ballon d'Or, which is, obviously, I think Alexia Vitesse won it again that season, but to have got that high at the table, speaks volumes about her talent.
She was fantastic, and she's been a great servant to the club. And what you look at, probably some of the players that have played in the past, you should probably say that if you were to make a WSL team, I think Beth Mead probably is in that squad.
Do you mean from an Arsenal perspective or from a whole WSL perspective?
From an Arsenal perspective, I don't think she makes the WSL squad, because all the Chelsea fans will say, well, all last players need to be in there because we won the most trophies. Well, no, that's not how it works.
Certainly from a WSL era perspective, she is one of the best wingers we've ever had at the club, and delightful person and an immense talent. And 50 WSL goals is an incredible achievement. As you say, would have probably happened sooner had it not been for the awful ACL injury she suffered just as when she was right on her peak. But to come back and still have these vital contributions, and the Crot, the trademark Beth Mead effort. There's been a few down the years. Just a hot question for you, Matt, very quickly. Favorite Crot? Have any favorite ones that spring to mind in the past? I mean, I've got a few, but I just say which any that jump out.
If I remember, I think her first one actually did the rounds. It actually went viral. I can't remember. It was when she was playing for Arsenal, but I can't remember the game. You'll probably.
Well, there's a few. She had one for England against Brazil in the She Believes Cup. That was the first time I'd seen it, and then she got one away at Liverpool pretty much immediately afterwards, looped across over the keeper. Like I said, there's been a few down the years. If you get, scour around on the old, comps online of Beth Mead goals and YouTube and so forth, you'll find them. But it's great to have sort of trademark effort. And she did one early in the season. I think it was against Bristol City in the FA Cup, where she just it was, and that was. I don't know if that was a genuine effort or a cross, but you never know with Beth Mead. But superb effort and a superb way to cap off a nice, calm routine 4-0 win over Crystal Palace. And there was a little extra bit of joy to celebrate, because a bit late that evening, Chelsea blew a 2-goal lead to draw 2-2 with West Ham United. With 4 games to go, the lead is 6 points. I think if we're going to be brutally honest, and let's not even entertain delusion, we're not going to win the league. Chelsea are going to win the league. Let's just abandon the pretense there. But how close do you think Arsenal could push Chelsea? Given there's so little games left, do you think Chelsea will just see the last 4 games out? Bearing in mind, I think they've got Manchester United to play away as well in there. Could Arsenal take Chelsea to the final day at least? Also, bear in mind, goal difference is identical now.
Yes. The romantics would probably say yes. It would be nice to have that, but then again, you probably look at the schedules and say, because of how Chelsea are, they've got the FA Cup against Liverpool, who are going to probably want to bounce back, especially after losing to Villa. With how Villa were playing all season, all of a sudden to get 3 points like that, I don't think they're going to be too happy. I think this is where I hate to say that this is like the business end of the season, but it really is, because Chelsea are still in all 3 competitions, whereas and they've won the the League Cup,
the Sub Cup,
however you want to refer to it. And it's a case of how far do they come? Because to be honest, I really thought that City could have gone out and got them in the Champions League. All they needed was a goal, and it just would not come for them. And bear in mind, they basically had no one on the bench for them. That's probably where they struggled the most. They didn't have anyone bar Jess Park to really come off the bench and do something magical for them. But Chelsea had pretty much everyone available, and they were able to do it. So how far I would say, probably if it was going to be close, it would probably be 4 points, and then Chelsea will win the title. But I think if I'm remembering, against West Ham, they needed 8 points to secure the title. I think that's still the case now that they've drawn.
I don't know how the mathing. We should also not discount Manchester United, who are level on us, obviously with a slightly, in theory, goal difference. And Manchester United, we've got to play on the last day of season at Emirates Stadium, and obviously they host Chelsea. You look at that and you think if Arsenal and Man United closed the gap, you could go into the last game of the season potentially, but I still think there's a chance you'll win. They'll be in the driving seat, but you have the potential for 3 teams being within a chance of winning it, and Arsenal and Man United being in a shootout with each other to pretend. So there is still the chance, there's still a chance. It may not be as cut and dry as routine as maybe that we may have all thought. I still think 100% Chelsea will win. I think there is enough of the gap there. The question becomes is what toll does the Barcelona games, and you mentioned about the FA Cup game, take? I would hope there is at least a little bit of jeopardy in it, because it has been a bit of a routine sort of run. Chelsea have been incredible. I think they've only dropped 6 points this season, which is fair play to them. They're with form like that, they are the best team in the league, and they, as things stand, if they do win it, they deserve to win it. But obviously, the league is not decided in April, and there are business end, a few more games to go. I would like if there is one last twist at the end, but we'll have to wait and see. But for the future, we're in the international break, so no more WSL, no more Champions League to discuss, sadly. But hopefully we'll be back soon with another pod to pick over what has transpired over the international break. But until then, it's time for us to sign off. But before we do, Matt, where can we find you and the pod on social media?
You can find the pod at VAW Pod, and you can also follow me at MattLR28.
And you can find me at Adam_or-Salter4 on the Blue Skies and Twitters and the Instagrams. And you can follow the archive at the Arsenal Win Archive, which is time recording on the 1st of April. Dropped a doozy of a game from the year 2000, a League Cup final against Croydon. And we're talking about Crots and world-class goals. Worth having a watch purely to see Kiara Grant's screamer of a shot in the first half. Cracking goal, and obviously that was a trophy won for the Arsenal. Let's hope there's maybe another one down the line soon for us. But until then, come on, you Gunners.